You know that feeling, right? You're in the shower, or driving, or just kind of spacing out, and then bam! A brilliant idea just hits you. It feels like absolute magic, like it came from somewhere else entirely. But where is somewhere else? For literally thousands of years, that exact question has stumped poets, philosophers, and scientists. Well, today, we're going to go on a journey to find the answer, from ancient myths all the way to modern neuroscience.
So let's just ask it straight up. Where do our ideas actually come from? Is it some kind of mystical spark, or is it all just mechanics happening inside our heads?
You know, to see how far we've come, we gotta look at where we started. Picture this, it's the 10th century. A poet named Ibn Shahid al-Andalusi is totally stuck on a poem, and then, he claims, a genie, a jinn, rises up out of a river and just hands him the perfect rhyme. For him, creativity wasn't something from within. No, it was a literal gift from the supernatural.
And he was definitely not alone in thinking that. For most of history, inspiration wasn't something we created ourselves, but something we received. It was this great ancient enigma.
And you see this idea pop up in different ways all over the world. The ancient Greeks, they called it divine madness, a gift whispered by the muses. They thought you had to be literally possessed to be a true poet. Meanwhile, in ancient Arabia, the belief was that the absolute best poetry came from genies living in this mythical valley called Wadi Abkar. And get this, the Arabic word for genius, Abkari, comes directly from the name of that magical valley. So you've got two totally different cultures with the same basic idea. Inspiration comes from outside of us.
Okay, but what if the source isn't some mythical valley or a whispering muse? What if the real source has been right here, inside our own heads the whole time? Let's peel back the layers and actually see what's going on inside the brain when an idea is born.
First, you have to appreciate the sheer scale of what we're working with here. Your brain has something like 86 billion neurons. To put that in perspective, that's more neurons than there are stars in our entire galaxy. Every single one of them is a potential player in the orchestra of your mind.
And that orchestra metaphor is just perfect. See, an idea isn't one single thing that's stored in one little neuron. It's more like music. It doesn't exist in just the violin or just the trumpet. It only happens when all the players work together, firing in a specific, coordinated pattern. A thought is a temporary network, just coming alive for a moment.
And here is the truly amazing part. That orchestra is always changing its tune. That's the power of neuroplasticity. Your brain is not a fixed piece of hardware. It's physically rewiring itself with every single thought and experience. The pathways you use the most, well, they get stronger and faster. You are literally building your own mind, one thought at a time.
So this brings us to a really fun comparison. In our world, we're obsessed with computer processing speed and big data. So how does our slow, kind of messy biological brain even compete? Well, it turns out our biggest weaknesses are actually our greatest strengths.
Think about it. A computer is crazy fast, super precise, and totally logical. Our brain, on the other hand, is slow. It makes mistakes, and it's incredibly selfish. Most of its energy is spent talking to itself, not the outside world. On paper, it sounds like we don't stand a chance. But those so-called flaws, that's exactly where creativity comes from.
And this is the perfect example. A computer looks at this image and, following its rigid rules, it sees a pile of fruit and vegetables. That's what the data says. But you immediately see a face. You get the concept, the big picture, in a way a machine just can't.
It's the same for how we see the world. A computer learns what a chair is by analyzing millions of pictures of things with 4 legs and a back. But we do something much cooler. We understand the concept of something to sit on. And that's why you know a beanbag chair is a chair, and a tree stump can be a chair, and even a rock can be a chair. We get the function, not just the data, and that opens up a world of infinite creativity.
So if ideas are just these fleeting patterns firing in our brains, how can we get better at creating the right conditions for them to show up? How do we actually catch that magical aha moment?
Well, psychologists have kind of broken it down into 3 stages. First, there's presence. That's the spark, the light bulb moment that you can't force. It just appears out of nowhere. Then comes transcendence. That's when you get into that deep focus, that flow state, where the world just fades away and it's just you and the idea. And finally, motivation. That's the sudden, overwhelming urge to take that idea and actually make it real.
So how do we set the stage for that spark? Well, science, and the habits of some pretty creative people, point to a few things. Take more breaks. Let your mind wander.
Do boring stuff like showering or washing dishes because it lets your subconscious do its thing. And definitely challenge your own beliefs. Salvador Dali used to take micronaps, waking himself up the second he drifted off, just to tap into that super creative state right between being awake and being asleep.
Okay, this is where it gets really, really wild. An idea isn't just some abstract little thought. It is a force that has the power to physically change not just your brain, but your whole body.
So we already talked about neuroplasticity, right? How your thoughts can rewire your brain. But it goes so much further than that. There was this one incredible study where people who just imagined doing finger exercises actually increased their muscle strength by 35% without moving at all. Just the thought alone strengthened the connection from brain to muscle and made a real physical change.
And of course, the ultimate example of this is the placebo effect. The simple belief that a sugar pill is real medicine can trigger your body to open up its own internal pharmacy, releasing powerful chemicals that can kill pain, change your mood, and even fire up your immune system. That is the raw power of an idea made real inside your own body.
All right, so we've gone from genies and muses all the way to neurons and placebos. How do we put this all together? How do we become a real, living, breathing idea machine?
Here's your toolkit. Number 1, seek out diverse experiences. The more different ingredients you put in your brain, the more new and unique recipes it can cook up. 2, daydream with purpose. Let your mind run those little simulations about the future. 3, challenge your assumptions. Computers follow the rules. Innovators break them. And finally, maybe the most important one, take action. An idea is totally useless until you actually bring it into the world.
And please, never forget this powerful truth. We learn until the day we die, because the orchestra of the brain is constantly adapting. This idea that you just stop learning or changing at some point, it's a total myth. Your potential for new ideas is with you for life.
Which leaves us with one last and pretty crucial thought for the future. Right now, your thoughts are your own. They're private, they're safe, but as technology like brain-computer interfaces gets better and better at decoding those neural signals, will they stay that way? As we see countries starting to talk about neuro rights to protect our very minds, we have to ask ourselves, who owns an idea once a machine can read it straight from your brain? That's a question we're all going to have to answer, probably sooner than we think.